We did 14 episodes in 2022, not including this one, which is episode 81, 2022 in review, Doomed Planets Turgid, 3rd season. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. The year in review. We're just going to go through our episodes from last year and revisit them, see if there are any updates. Doom Planet Podcast, episode 68, The Child Feeder's Grift. This is basically a few people that put up card tables in front of businesses around town and pretend to collect money for a nonprofit, and they don't even try. They don't have marketing materials, or they have like an outdated business license scotch taped to a card table. Well, they're still out there. They're still doing it, but you know, that's a small time scam. It's fine. If you want to look at like real fraud where people are getting creative, here's one. Scam defrauds Seattle nonprofit of almost $10,000. That's from the Nonprofit Pro website. In late January, an unidentified man emailed the Seattle Hearing, Speech, and Deafness Center offering a $30,000 donation, according to the Seattle police. The charity then received a check for $39,850 a few days later. But the, quote, donor indicated via email that the additional $9,850 was meant for another charity and requested it to be wired back to him. And we felt horrible that we were going to be taking more money from this donor and not be able to have those funds go to the other nonprofit they had designated. Executive Director Lindsay Klarman told King 5. People don't, I can see how she fell for this. They fell for this. People don't expect to be victimized if they work for a charity that helps hearing impaired people. By the time, so they wired this $8,000 or so to this scam artist. Then they realized the original check was fake. So
bad decisions.
I've also never really kept personal journals either. I've never kept a diary.
Okay, episode 65. Don't get confused there. We had skipped an episode number, and we were just repairing that. Curt Cobain's Juvenilia. We talk about his journals and his art scribblings, all of which were published in hardback books. I don't know. I still dislike the guy. He is sincere in his own way, but I dislike him more and more over the years.
I went to the library a lot, and I skipped school a lot too, especially during high school and junior high, and the only place to go during the day was at the library.
One does imagine that the only place in the shithole logging town of Aberdeen, Washington, where Curt could hang out was the library.
By the time I was in 9th grade, I was taking 3 commercial art classes, and I was going to go to art school. And
so, Curt, which is it? Did you skip school, or were you taking these intensive art classes? Anyway, November 14th, Curt Cobain's 1989 stage-smashed Fender Mustang guitar sells for nearly $500,000 at auction. The Cobain-owned, stage-played, smashed, and signed axe was used on Nirvana's first U.S. tour, according to People magazine. He played it in 1989. I'm sure he would agree. Fuck this $500,000 for a broken guitar. That money could be used to fix a bridge or maybe give some kids a fucking school lunch. Moving hastily along here, episode 69, Wasting Away in Floridaville. We talk about Jimmy Buffett and his Margaritaville resort empire. Here's November 29th. FTX owes more than $55,000 to Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville Beach Resort in the Bahamas. Bankruptcy filing show. Business Insider, December 7th. Sam Bankman-Fried's Alameda racked up $55,000 Margaritaville debt by snapping up around 20 premium suites for workers who took a bus across Tropical Island to work. I guess this is no different than when tech companies gave free lunch to everybody and other bribes to get them to, stay with the company. Staff at the Bahamas Margaritaville resort said FTX employees stayed there for several months and were generally friendly. On weekdays, a shuttle bus took them to and from FTX's head office, a half-hour drive to the opposite side of New Providence Island, 13 miles away. The resort is a similar distance from Albany Marina, the home of Bankman-Fried's $30 million penthouse, or I should say former penthouse. Margaritaville's booking service says it costs $943 a night for a premium residence, or just $462 for a studio. All the rooms have ocean views. Margaritaville Incorporated owns a $1 billion retirement community in Florida. Meanwhile, at another infamous retirement community, the Villages, December 8th, Wildwood man arrested with marijuana after disobeying a stop sign. Altaf Jafarali, 63, was driving a red Toyota Camry. God, yeah, I wonder with that name why he'd get pulled over. Small plastic bag contains 6 grams of marijuana and a glass pipe. He admitted he did not have a medical marijuana card. Medical marijuana, legal in Florida, but of course they're going to bust this guy with a Muslim-sounding name. He was arrested on charges of possession of marijuana and possession of drug equipment, booked at Marion County Jail on $2,000 bond. Another one, sisters claim they turned to illegal weed due to the expense of medical marijuana, also December 8th. 2 sisters defended their possession of illegal weed, complaining the expense of medical marijuana put it out of reach for their budget. The deputy approached their car and detected the odor of fresh marijuana emitting from the vehicle. They had 25 grams of marijuana and a grinder. So this is a felony possession of marijuana for one sister and misdemeanor for the other. Florida sucks. If you really want to know more of my opinions about the Villages, Doom Planet episode 55. Florida Death Trip, The Villages. Episode 70, canceled in Ukraine. This is about some chud, American chud, that went to Ukraine to fight with the Ukrainian army and was killed. Go check out Caitlin Johnstone. She's doing some great stuff. The official narrative on Ukraine, according to Caitlin. The official narrative promoted by the entire Western political media class is that Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine in February of this year solely because he is evil and hates freedom. He wants to conquer as much of Europe as possible because he cannot stand free democracies, because he is another Adolf Hitler. If you dispute any part of the official Ukraine narrative, you are an evil monster and a disinformation agent. Because Vladimir Putin is the same as Adolf Hitler, you are also the same as Neville Chamberlain and are guilty of the cardinal sin of supporting appeasement. The official narrative on Ukraine is that the U.S. empire and its media never lie or circulate propaganda about wars that the U.S. is involved in. If you dispute this, you are lying and circulating propaganda. That's why it's necessary to have so much censorship and organized trolling and mass media reports reminding you how good and righteous this war is. It's to protect you from lies and propaganda. And of course, Caitlin, emphasizes that the United States has the most propagandized population on Earth by far. On Twitter, John Stone quotes Chomsky, "Propaganda is to a democracy what the bludgeon is to a totalitarian state. In a totalitarian state, people are physically abused into conformity and obedience, and in a so-called democracy, people are psychologically abused into conformity and obedience." Recently, American actor Sean Penn gave Zelensky, Ukraine's dictator, his Oscar statuette. The 62-year-old actor-director asked Zelensky to hold onto the statuette until the end of the war and a hopeful Ukrainian victory. "It's just a symbolic, silly thing," said Penn. In a video shared by Zelensky's office, "Sean brought his Oscar statuette as a symbol of faith in the victory of our country," Zelensky wrote. Geez, what does Sean Penn want? A medal? Oh, wait. The Ukrainian president presented Penn with a new award at the same meeting. The country awarded the actor with the Order of Merit of the Third Degree for his support of Ukraine. Doomed Planet Podcast, episode 71, Buffalo 666. That was our reaction to the mass murder at the Tops supermarket in Buffalo this year. A little painful. Won't spend too much time following up other than to say the Chud is expected to plead guilty to murder, mass murder. He's never getting out of jail. And the state prisons in upstate New York suck.
The man accused of shooting and killing 10 people in a Tops supermarket in Buffalo, New York last May will appear in court today. 19-year-old Peyton Gendron is expected to plead guilty to state charges.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Christmas is here. The holidays are about family traditions and great food. For over 50 years, Tops has been proud to be a part of your family celebrations. From our Tops family to yours, Merry Christmas.
Episode 72, R.I.P. Roe v. Wade. We did that episode June 25th. Popular according to our stats. Not sure what to say. The Supreme Court is now a right-wing institution for a generation. Maybe we can play some footage of crybaby Brett Kavanaugh crying on the witness stand, followed by crybaby Kyle Rittenhouse crying on the witness stand. Fuck them all.
This is a circus. But I have never done this to her or to anyone. That's not who I am. It is not who I was. I am innocent of this charge.
There were 3 people right there. That's what I...
Now to developing news. The final autopsy and toxicology report is out in the death of actress Heche. It shows Heche had cocaine in her system, but the coroner says there was no evidence of impairment by illicit substances at the time of the crash.
Episode 73, Heche Unplugged. According to the rudimentary stats that are provided by the $7 a month podcast hosting service Libsyn, this one got a lot of traffic. The very tragic and sad thing here in the update is that she was not drunk or high or impaired, as they said, according to the autopsy results that were just released. That makes her death even more horrific. Another person associated with Ellen DeGeneres just checked into a motel and killed himself yesterday. DJ Steven Twitch Boss. Ellen's show stopped this year, was canceled, probably because nobody would work with her because she's an asshole. And now we have the curse of Ellen. Episode 74, Insect Apocalypse. Talking about the mass extinction event happening with the world's insects. Went on YouTube to maybe grab a story for that, and the first thing that comes up, 10 giant insects you're glad are extinct. And the image is of a potato bug. There's a guy standing next to a potato bug that's 3 times as tall as he is, and there weren't giant insects like that. It's garbage, like YouTube. Whenever I research on YouTube, this is something that always comes up. I don't know what I did wrong. Street Underdog, 80,000 followers. This is a guy that drives around and films prostitutes from his car. Real cool guy. Seattle Street View. Interesting summer moments, places, and people. Episode 13. So the algorithm steers you to profitable garbage. Episode 75. Amphibian Armageddon. Same thing as Insect Apocalypse, disappearing frogs and whatnot. And here we have December 9th. Australia's mountain mist frog declared extinct as Red List reveals scale of biodiversity crisis. The mountain mist frog, a species once found across 2/3 of Australia's wet tropics, has been declared extinct. For tens of thousands of years, there were these little frogs that were calling their hearts out in these rainforests, and now it's silent. We know what's causing this crisis: habitat destruction, invasive species, and climate change. And capitalism is a system within those descriptors somehow, I think. I'm not sure.
Podcast shout out.
Podcast shout out this episode goes to the Doomed Planet podcast. Hard to believe that our first episode appeared on December 3rd, 2019. It was called The Sins of My Tabloids. It's a comprehensive look at Paul David Pope's book, The Deeds of My Fathers. His dad created the National Enquirer tabloid empire, and his grandpa was an Italian publisher associated with the mob and fascism. One thing I never got around to in that very first episode, I also want to point out that I had a shittier microphone then. The audio quality might be terrible. Paul David Pope inherited a fortune from when his dad died. I think he was only 61. And then he's been battling with his mom ever since. May 2nd, 2013, National Enquirer Family Feud is like The Godfather. That's from the Miami New Times. A buxom 30-something with cascading brunette hair sits on the floor cradling a black belt-fed M60 machine gun. Nearby, a stocky middle-aged man in a baggy white sports coat casually grips an unloaded Heckler and Koch MP5 submachine gun, outfitted with a scope and silencer. A hulking bodyguard stands sentry. That's a description of Paul David Pope's lifestyle, but inheriting a fortune wasn't enough. He's faced off in 4 lawsuits with his mom, Louis Pope. His mother wants to be done. I want him to get him out of my life forever, she said in a court hearing. Paul was born in 1967. He worked in the editorial office of the Inquirer. Is really a rich kid that has never worked, which is fine. I admire that. Or one would hope for that. He watched his father dispatch investigators to solve the murder of Hogan's Heroes star Bob Crane, or comb through Henry Kissinger's garbage. One day he figured he would call the shots. I don't think so. The ongoing feud of the National Enquirer's Pope family, from Forbes. In this article, August 2013, $186 million was the family fortune, and due to some good luck and tax planning and stuff, he and his mom, Paul and his sisters and mom, got all of that. Paul blew through his share of the inheritance with a lavish lifestyle. Even this book that he wrote, he says in the book he spent $1 million hiring writers to write the book. So 2006 Lois sued Paul. She gave him $8 million at one point. That wasn't enough. And finally, and this is from PR Newswire, which is it's just a press release site where anyone can post. And you can Paul posts this July 31st, 2015. Justice served for Paul David Pope, son of National Enquirer founder Generoso Pope Jr. Judge enters order for modification of 2013 injunction obtained by mother Lois. Justice has been served. On July 23rd, the judge entered the order for modification of the 2013 final judgment of protection against stalking injunction obtained by his mother. So he granting him the constitutional right to possess a firearm. Who stalks their own mom after badgering her over and over the years for more and more inheritance money, even though you already have millions? Paul David Pope would. And again, I regret leaving this whole incident out of, our review of the book way back when, right when the pandemic started. We launched this podcast. Hey, it's Alex, and we're back with the Turgid 3rd season, Doom Planet 2022 in review. Episode 76, American Grassholes, talking about how the suburbs are bad, how lawns are bad, how we need biodiversity in our yards if we have yards. So an article just came out in the New York Times. The Post, they fought the lawn and the lawn lost. This is a couple who had instead of a normal monoculture grass lawn, they had all kinds of plants, flowers, bushes in their yard, and the homeowner association, sued them saying, no, you just have to have a lawn. They spent $60,000 of their own money fighting this all the way up to the point where in Maryland now it's a law saying homeowner associations can't dictate that you have, just grass. Good for them. Seattle City Council is outlawing gas-powered leaf blowers. It's funny because I have seen like a row of like 4 like golf cart size gas-powered drivable leaf blowers that the city owns. The Washington Policy Center reported on this on September 27th. Leaf blowers often garner the wrath of neighbors, as early morning yard cleanups can be noisy, but banning gas-powered versions of the popular yard tool isn't going to reduce the noise anytime soon. The Washington Policy Center is a right-wing think tank, by the way. Additionally, the proposal cites a reduction in CO2 emissions, but banning gas-powered blowers won't have any negligible effect on reducing CO2 emissions. That not only doesn't make sense, but yeah, of course, every time you turn off an internal combustion engine, you're having some effect. Of course, the Washington Policy Center, why not? They're going to go after anything that doesn't fit their libertarian, pro-fossil fuel agenda. One member and supporter of that group over the years, Kemper Freeman, East Side landlord, the Freeman family. Yes, I did go to Wikipedia for this. Kemper's grandfather was a driving force in anti-Japanese discrimination, agitating for what he called a white man's Pacific Coast. So, yeah, very charming family. They started their empire in 1884. Kemper Freeman has, lobbied against public transportation. If you go to Bellevue, it's Seattle's sister city to the east. It is like a grass hole lawn. It's just a monoculture of strip malls and giant office buildings. There's beautiful landscaping on the highways and in the suburban areas, but it's pretty dead in Bellevue. I remember I had a horrific temp job there, and I could not, in one of those buildings, I could not find a place to sneak away and smoke some pot during lunch. It was just, there aren't even any, alleys with any privacy or anything. Just Bellevue is a horror. So good riddance to Kemper Freeman. And of course, all his children and son-in-laws and stuff are in the family business. Doomed Planet, episode 77, decapitated in Seattle. Getting back to our roots as a Seattle crime podcast for this one. And that's basically, I tried going into the direction of ecocide. Let's cover environmental stuff. But no, it always gets back to the crime. And there's so many billionaires in this town. There's plenty of crime to cover. We can cover crime elsewhere. So, yeah, someone's always getting their head chopped off in Seattle. And the Daily Mail from 2019, police release footage of the moment an agitated knife-wielding suspect is shot dead by cops after murdering his girlfriend by beheading her in a Seattle apartment. Police stormed the apartment. Of course, they're going to shoot and kill him. This might be more justified than 99% of cop shootings where they just blow away anyone and just has it holding a spoon in their hand or whatever. This is the cop saw a woman's body lying on the floor. One of the two cops said, "Shit, she's had her head cut off." Cops do suffer trauma and PTSD too. This is a tough job when your job is basically evicting homeless people from tents and beating on and shooting people. That'll get to you. That's going to hurt your brain. Episode 78, The Stranger's last issue. We talk about how The Stranger, Seattle's alt-weekly newspaper, published its last print edition right when the pandemic hit. And that was sad, but every business runs its course. And like we said in that episode, the people running the place now are in their 50s and the youthful energy is gone. I don't see the Stranger pop up much on Twitter or anything. They do have a bare bones staff, like 2 full-time writers. I don't know. I did some people running a political campaign for a candidate I admired suggested I write a letter to the editor. This is a classic case of Democrat in name only, running against a progressive. And so I wrote a letter to the stranger, letter to the editor, and without just remembering, well, it's not really a newspaper anymore. And I don't know if they ever had a letters section, but now that's just a blog comment, right? It's kind of cheapens it. Oh, well, you get your moment and that's it. You take advantage of that moment. I certainly did when I worked at The Stranger a long time ago. Met my current wife there, and we produced 2 wonderful children. And again, Tim is not a bad guy. He's the founder and publisher. A lot of people working there end up hating him. I never did. Again, I knew what a weekly newspaper is, and people don't get paid a lot, and the fringe benefits were awesome. It was like a big party.
Krusty, are you making any money?
Nah, that guy's giving it away for free.
Old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be. Ain't what she used to be. Ain't what she used to be.
Doomed Planet Podcast, episode 79, Flawed Pollster Stuart Elway. We talk about, and with guest Brian from Mechanical Freak Podcast, we talk about how polling is bullshit, basically. So quickly look up, has Stuart been doing anything since November 30th when I posted this? No, I do see that he got a parking ticket in 2017, that bastard, and that we share the same birthday. There's a picture of Stuart as a lad online with his dad, Senator Elway, a state senator, I believe. The campaign ad in the 50s features Senator Elway's wife, Lila, and kids, Stuart and Joan. And talk about American grassholes. There's suburban houses in the background. His wife is pushing a push mower. Oh, that's good. That's eco-friendly. The little girl has a golf club, and Stuart is wearing his best Dennis the Menace, baseball hat and little jeans there. His hat says E for Elway. He's holding a baseball bat, and his dad is coaching him. So that's charming. Our final episode for 2022, besides this one, was number 80, 2 Seattle dive bar dicks. Talking about Dick Smith, who owned the Mecca Cafe, a dive bar in Seattle, and was an asshole, and David Meinert, who now owns the Mecca Cafe in Seattle and is an accused serial rapist. I don't know what else to say about that. I notice on Facebook, and he's still friends with me on Facebook. That's good. He probably has a policy of not reading anyone's posts. There's a homeless person nicknamed Stabby outside the 5 Point. That's the other dive bar he owns in Seattle. And his first inclination is to call We Heart Seattle because they have helped a lot recently with people in the park. We Heart Seattle is a right-wing, fascist, anti-homeless organization. And he knows that. Next, he called 911 for medics, calling the cops on homeless people, but pretending that, calling cops and right-wing groups on homeless people, but pretending that he's helping them, but really he wants them away from his bar. Then we see the Mecca Cafe has a new t-shirt design. It's a bottle of whiskey with some lightning bolts surrounded by skulls, and it says, "The liver is evil and must be punished." And I don't know. I mean, that the whole alcoholics serving alcoholics slogan and neon in the window is kind of distasteful, but it's funny in a way. It's anti-establishment in a way. This is just ugly, especially if you have a problem with alcohol. I mean, David is a charitable fellow. He is no Scrooge. He owns a kind of old people diner in Burien, where he lives. a town south of Seattle. Every Tuesday at Huckleberry Square, we donate 10% of sales to a local nonprofit. This quarter, we're supporting the Burien Severe Weather Shelter. How you can help. Drop off Huckleberry canned food items, socks, underwear. Okay, David. Only thing he's posted to Facebook since we posted our podcast about him. And, again, I don't think he's seen it. First Christmas ornament up. And that's his daughter putting up an ornament. And the ornament is a Santa with a mask on, and the mask says, "Fuck Trump." And I can't help but notice that his daughter and my daughter are the same age, and they resemble each other. And I know that he's used this as, I can't be a sex offender. I have a daughter. Fine. At least he has the humanity. At least he is a dad. And maybe he has fixed himself, and, at least he's providing a good home for his kid and hopefully some good advice. And that, my friends, concludes season 3. Wow. Just a madman in his basement. But this year, now I have a laser printer, and I inherited a really nice Mac from my wife. I even have 2 microphones. I might have some guests in here next time. I know when we started the podcast, I was going to do it weekly, and that was easy to do because everything shut down and no one was going anywhere. And 14 episodes this year, not great. We're going to pump that up, fuckers, okay? Take care. Love you. Enjoy the holidays. Bye.
I really can't stay.
Baby, it's cold outside.
I've got to go away.
Baby, it's cold outside.
This evening has been
hoping that you drop
so
in.
Very nice.
I'll hold your hands. They're just like ice.
My mother will start to worry.
Beautiful, what's your
My
hurry?
father will be pacing the floor.
Listen to the fireplace
So
roar.
really I'd better scurry.
Beautiful, please don't
Well,
hurry.
maybe just a half a drink more.
5, 6, 7, 8. Goodbye. This is the end of the song.